Typically, we break after we do our interviews. We go on the next day. But I don't want to leave right now. Okay? When you guys were in here with salad, did you get any spirit box? Great spirit box was clear. Hey, so,
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Craig, Denise, Alicia, Tina. Hi, Melissa. Hey, Sarah. Denise. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Zandra. Hello, Linda. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Dawn.
I hear the name is Roger. Yeah, the name is Roger. Like name's Roger. Next one.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Mackenzie. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tyler. Hi, Linda.
I think what this sounds like to me, just by listening to all these different spirits.
How you doing, Mark?
There's a door here.
There's my cousin, Tanya. Love you. Hi, Luann. Hi, Jeanette. Hey, Chris. Hi, Amanda. Alright, so tonight I want to tell you a little bit about my daughter. And then why I'm doing the protest that I am doing tomorrow. Hi, Josh, Tanya. On May 30th, 1997, my little baby girl was born at Miami Valley Hospital. She was a lovely, lovely little girl. And 2000 and, well, no, 1999. In 1999, me and my ex had split up. And she had left my children at a motel with a 4-year-old watching my 5-month-old son and my 1-year-old daughter, Mackenzie. And I had went to the motel and I removed my children. And I had left and went to Mason, Ohio. I checked into a shelter with both of my children. And 6 months later, my ex tracked me down at the shelter that I was in through her family. She wrote letters and everything saying that how now she wanted to be a family and stuff. I ended up moving back to Jeffersonville. I left the shelter to give her another chance. And then when I came home, that's when she told me she was pregnant with my son Douglas. And I stayed with her for a while. And then in 2003, we separated again. And I had my son. She then only took my daughter and one of my sons. I then went to court. I fought for custody. And I won custody of all 3 of my children. in 2004, I was set up. She was able to get a protection order against me, which didn't change me with my kids' custody. I had my kids, and then in 2005, the courts let us go to share parenting for a little bit, and then in 2006, I went back to full custody where she had to go to the visitation center and be supervised visits, and the person at that time was Joy Stanforth that was running the visitation center. I went through 71 times in court, fighting for custody of my children, and then I won every time I went to court. And then in 2006, January the 5th, my daughter asked if she could stay with her mom. I allowed her to go to her mother's. At that time, I only lived 15 minutes away, so I saw my daughter. She always came to my work. I had the boys still with me. I still have full custody of Mackenzie and my two boys. There's a story behind why she went to her mother's. We found out it was a lie. My daughter decided that she realized it was a lie. And then in April, 3 months later, my daughter was murdered and raped, and the house set on fire. And there's a lot of things about this that I'm upset about that I'm going to go over with you guys. And one of them is, one of the things, like I said, at 3:39 in the morning, I contacted the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. I asked them about my daughter, and the dispatcher, point blank, just said, she's dead. I further on went on and asked the dispatcher about my ex-wife, and he didn't give me any information on that. I collapsed on the floor. When I woke up, there was a whole bunch of cops at my job. They were telling me that Mackenzie had passed away. I told them I already knew that. They sent me home to my apartment. Vernon told me I could not go over to the hospital, which my job at that time was across the street from the hospital. They told me I couldn't go over there and see my daughter, that I needed to go straight home. After arriving at the house, I put my boys back to bed. Within 15 minutes, there was a knock on the door, and it was Joy Stanforth, the sheriff's wife, and a deputy. She came into my house. The first question she asked me was if I told my sons that my daughter was passed away, and I said, yes, I have. She asked me if everything was all right, how I felt, asked me a bunch of other questions. Then the deputy took me to the side. He sat down with me. He asked me a few questions, discussed about, I guess this officer had lost two boys himself. And about 5:30, somewhere around that time, Joy Stanforth and Vernon, the deputy, had left my house. Before Joy Stanforth left, I asked if she knew about my ex-wife. You know, I didn't know if she was dead or hurt. The last conversation I had with her on the phone, I was telling her to go in. I asked her why she was talking to me on the phone about her house being on fire when she had contacted me at 2:19 in the morning. And I asked her, why are you on the phone with me? Get your F butt off of the phone. Get in that house. Save my daughter. Don't let my baby girl die. And that was when the phone went dead and I didn't hear nothing else. When Joy Stanford left, she left at, like I said, around 5:30 in the morning. And the next thing I know, I had contacted my mom, my niece, let them know that my daughter had passed away. As they were coming down, I was laying on the couch. And a knock on the door. It was about 7 in the morning, 7:30, somewhere around that time. And I opened up the door, and it was my ex-wife, her boyfriend, and her other daughter. Like I said, I was just told 4 hours ago that my daughter had passed away. The mother walked in, she grabbed me by the arm, pulled me into the kitchen, and the first words out of her mouth was not, I can't believe, our baby girl's gone. Her first words out of her mouth was, I want to bury Mackenzie with your dad. My dad died 4 years before that, and my dad's buried in Akron, Ohio, 3 hours away from here. So when she said that, I was kind of like in a state of mind, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I think this is all a bad dream. My daughter's going to come walking up the sidewalk, and my daughter's going to come through that door. Unfortunately, she didn't. So she went over and she sat down on the couch between my two sons. She grabbed a pillow that was on our sectional. She put it in front of her and she was rocking back and forth. And all she kept saying was, I don't know why Mackenzie had so many pillows. I don't know why Mackenzie had so many pillows. That's all she said. She never said nothing else that whole entire time other than she didn't know why my daughter had so many pillows on her bed. Over by my front door was her boyfriend, Kenny Mossberger. He's standing there. I can remember as it was yesterday. He had blue jeans on, boots on, a flannel shirt on, short sleeve shirt on, and he was standing at the door, and then he started talking. And his exact words were, look, man, I put a ladder up against the house. I went up the ladder. I broke the window out. I crawled into your daughter's bedroom. I was trying to find her. I took my hand and I swept it across the top of her bed, and I couldn't find her. And at that time, I didn't know yet anything about the fire except for that my daughter passed away. So in my mind and in my heart, I'm thinking, man, this guy really, he tried to save my child. Didn't think anything else at the time. Then they got up. She walked out the front door. Her daughter walked out the front door, and he left. I didn't see her again until 2 days later. She came by my apartment to talk about the funeral, what songs, what we were going to do, and all that. And in that time, we get a call from the funeral home that we had to go to the funeral before the viewing for everybody else. So I went down to Jeffersonville to my daughter's viewing. When I went inside to see my daughter, Dave Morrow was standing beside my daughter's casket, and it was me her and my two sons. And Dave Morrow looked at me and he said, Mr. Branham, I know what you want. And I said, yes, sir. And my ex looked at me and she said, what are you doing? And I said, well, hold on. I said to my boys, I said, Harrison and Douglas, would you guys please go outside and wait on the porch? Daddy will be out there in a minute. Now, the mother never saw neither one of my boys neither until that day when we went to the viewing. She never came and saw her sons. She never came and asked me if, I could give me a break and take my boys and let me have some alone time to myself. That never happened. So she turned and looked at me when my boys walked down. She said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm getting ready to open up the casket to see my little baby girl. And most of y'all have seen the photos of my daughter laying in the casket. She's beautiful. She looks like my daughter Mackenzie, other than the black soot on her. She turned and looked at me and she said, quote, you're a sick motherfucker. And then she went out the door. John Morrow opened up the casket. I reached in the casket. I gave my daughter a kiss. I hugged her. I cried on her. I kissed her on her cheek. I kissed her on her forehead. I told her I loved her and that I would see her again someday. When I walked out of the funeral home, I knew then. Why are you guys hearing me? I looked then and I said to myself, wow, there goes my red flags. Because I'm thinking, what mother would not want to have that last moment with your child? So I sat there and I thought about it, and that's when my red flags went up. And I thought, something ain't right here with this. So then we went to the funeral. And then when I was at the viewing, I was sitting in the room with my daughter, with my two sons. She was in the hallway with her boyfriend, standing there greeting people as they're coming through the door. I kind of got upset because I kept hearing people say to the boyfriend, I'm sorry for your loss of your daughter. No one knew. A lot of people did not even know that was my daughter at my own daughter's viewing and funeral. And that kind of hurt. I had custody of my children. Shoni was there a couple months with her mother before she was murdered and raped. And nobody even knew that was my daughter. And that really hurt me and my boys. So I got tired of hearing it. I walked outside to get some fresh air. To look at her and watch her smiling and him smiling as they're greeting people, and it just blew my mind. So then we went to the funeral, to the church. And while we're at the church, I'm sitting up front. My daughter's casket is in front of the church. I'm sitting there. I have one of my sons on one of my knees. My other son's on my other knee. And my ex-wife and her boyfriend are sitting down the other side of the bench from me. I'm bawling my eyes out. Both my children are crying. They're not, my son was 6, my other son was 7. They didn't even know exactly what was going on. They had no concept of any of it. other than their sister had passed away. They didn't see Mackenzie in the casket. They didn't know, nothing other than us saying, your sister is no longer with us. The whole time they're sitting there crying, I'm crying, the preacher is up there doing the services. I look over, and they never moved. She never got up. She never come over, asked me to take one of my sons, to hold one of my sons while we're sitting there. Her boyfriend sat there and never shed a tear. She wasn't even hardly crying at the funeral. And a lot of these people, a lot of you guys that are on my Facebook, that are on my live feed right now, they were at that funeral. They know. And so we left there, we went, and we buried my daughter. But back to the day my daughter died, I found out that after they visited me at 7:30 in the morning, they left my house, they went to Fayette Cycle, paid for motorcycle parts, left there and went back to her mom's house, or back to Kenny's mom and dad's house. Marianne got picked up by her sister. They left there and went to Downtown Photos, got her school picture that she took the day of her death, left there, and she went to the Record Herald and gave a story. Immediately gave a story to the Record Herald to what happened that night. And left the Record Herald after giving her story and went to the mall in Jeffersonville and purchased funeral clothes for my daughter. This is within 5 hours. My daughter's only been dead. 5 hours. My child has been dead. And this mother has paid for motorcycle parts, stopped by the ex house, told the story that they wanted me to hear, paid for motorcycle parts, goes and gets her photograph, her school pictures that were taken that morning, or the morning before, I'm sorry, because she died that night at 2 o'clock. Then go to a newspaper, give them a story, and while she's standing there, and I can prove all these are facts, because even in the newspaper article, the guy said as she was sniffling a little bit of tears, she was holding Mackenzie's school picture. Goes there and gives a story, leaves there, goes all the way to Jeffersonville to a mall and shops for funeral clothes. So after I found this stuff out, more and more started to come around to why I know that the mother and the boyfriend are behind this. Well, after the investigation, if that's what you want to call it, Kenny admitted that he never used a ladder. He never went up, busted out no window, because the fire department's report said they busted the window out. And they asked him why he lied. And think about this, the sheriff, Vernon P. Stanford, thought it was okay. That was a good reason. He understood his reason. His reason was because he was a volunteer fireman, he didn't want the town of Jeffersonville to look down on him as not being a hero for trying to save my daughter. So he made up the story that he tried to save her. That's what this man did. Just so that the town would not look down on him because he was a volunteer fireman and he didn't try to save a child. Vernon thought that was all right. He thought that was a good reason for the lie.
We heard your deep voice and the growl of your voice. What are you?
The only thing I know is my little girl went to bed that night. And all I know is my little girl got into some kind of conversation because the fire marshal said when I asked him to search through some pictures that I asked him to look for a certain item in my daughter's bedroom. And he said he could not see that item because there were so many clothes thrown all over the place in my daughter's bedroom. There was clothes everywhere. Now, you got to think about this. The mother, and I have her statements, which will be at my protest tomorrow. She stated that my daughter, one story was my daughter was having a yard sale and that she had stuff in totes and she was going to have a yard sale that weekend, even though it was my weekend and my daughter was coming to be with me. Then another story was my daughter didn't feel good. She had a headache and she was sick. Then another story was that my daughter was cleaning her room and rearranging the furniture and all that stuff. Not what the fire marshal saw. So with clothes spread thrown all over the bedroom, that tells me my daughter and my ex were into a argument that night. And I believe during that argument, because there is a history of my children getting into it with their mom calling the police, saying that my children are out of control, that she's about to beat them. I have police reports to back every bit of that up. Her 911 calls, where she made those calls asking for police assistance to handle a 6, 7, 8-year-old. Now, my little girl, I feel, was fed up with whoever was touching her and raping her. And I don't believe it's only one person. I believe there was more than one that was doing this to my daughter. And then you got a sheriff's office that goes to a crime scene. They take no photos of the crime scene. They collect no evidence out of my daughter's bedroom where her body was found on the bed. They talked to no eyewitnesses that was up that night. But they were suspicious, and they seen something in my baby's room that made them ask for a rape test to be done on my little girl. And during that, asking for that rape test to be done, the mother and boyfriend are nowhere to be found. They're not at the crime scene. They're not at a sheriff's office in an interrogation room. They're at his parents' house. Now, I know a lot of people are on here. The mother's parents and brothers and sister only lived 13 houses away from where the fire was. And she don't go to her parents' house, where you would think would be more comfortable there in this situation, knowing that the aunts, the uncles, the grandma, and the grandpa knows that they just lost their granddaughter or their niece in a fire. Instead, she goes 2 miles away, and her family has to go there to find her. She goes 2 miles away to his mom and dad's house where law enforcement is in that family and work for the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. And like I said, nothing at that crime scene was done at all. No witnesses were spoke to. Nothing was collected. No photographs. Even the police officer had to leave the crime scene and go to 2 miles to find Kenny to question him. But then don't even question the mother. But goes and questions the boyfriend that's at his parents' house, that law enforcement is related into that family, and doesn't sit down, talk to, conversation of what happened, and leaves. The sheriff leaves the crime scene and follows my daughter's body to the hospital, where him and the coroner make a decision that this is an accident. We're going to send this body as an accident. My daughter then travels clear to Montgomery County, an hour and 15 minutes away, as an accidental patient. But they knew something was suspicious, and they requested a rape test be done on my daughter. So as my daughter is sitting in Montgomery County has a paperwork that says accidental. So then they wash my daughter's body. They prep her for the funeral home. They contact the funeral home. The funeral home goes and picks up my daughter and brings her back to Fayette County. After the funeral home gets her here to Fayette County, a phone call comes in. That phone call was, did you do a rape test on this child? There was suspicious circumstances. No. So then they send my daughter back to Montgomery County. Montgomery County does the rape test on my daughter. And sends those results to Miami Valley Crime Lab. Then my daughter comes back, gets ready, gets prepped, ready for her funeral. And I remember that day when they brought my daughter back. And I remember the funeral guy calling me and saying, I have your daughter's earrings. Now, I want everybody to hear this. He said, I have your daughter's earrings. Okay? So, there's a set of earrings. And he said he also had her hair, where he had cut a little bit of her hair off. And asked me if I wanted them, and I said yes. But remember now, the earring part. Just always put that in your mind about I said the funeral home had her earrings. So, when we go back, come August 15th, 2006. Now, Montgomery County received my daughter's body the first time with a tank top, a pair of panties, a pair of socks, and 2 earrings studs. When they sent her back to Morrow's funeral home, and then got the call to bring my daughter's body back to Montgomery County, when Montgomery County received her the second time, she was in a tank top, a pair of panties, and 2 socks and 2 stud earrings came back with the body. But in August 15, 2006, 3 months after the autopsy, they destroy a tank top, a pair of panties, 2 socks. Now, they held on to the tank top, the panties, and the socks, but they gave the earrings back to the funeral home, but didn't give her clothes back. And when they destroyed it, they destroyed only a pair of panties, 2 socks, and a tank top. No earrings. Now, when they collected the evidence, which I have the evidence sheet, the evidence states that they put in an evidence bag a tank top, a pair of panties, 2 socks, 2 earrings. So why wasn't the earrings destroyed with the clothes on August 15, 2006? How did the earrings get separated out of the evidence bag from the other evidence and sent back to the funeral home to be given to me, but not her clothes, not her socks? It all should have been together. It all should have been destroyed together. So on August 15, 2006, they destroy her clothes. Come September 23rd, 2006, the following month, the results come back from Miami Valley Crime Lab. When the results come back, they're positive for male semen. But there's no clothes. The clothes are gone. All there is a positive for semen. So then that paperwork is given to the investigator, which is Jim Fannin of Montgomery County. And then he takes it, hands it to a secretary, and tells her to file it into Mackenzie's file. That was in May. May is when they sent May 9th is when they sent the DNA to be, the swabs. September, which was 5 months later, 2006, the results come back positive. It's put in a file. The investigator doesn't call the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. The investigator don't tell the Montgomery County coroner that a positive results came back. So, in 2012, they came to my house, or they called me on the phone and asked me to come and give my DNA. I go and give my DNA. I walk right into the sheriff annex building. They swab my mouth. I sign the paperwork. Only thing I knew was what the paperwork said. They were taking my DNA to test with Mackenzie's dead body and the fire. Nothing on there said anything about rape. On my official form that I signed, legal document of why I was giving my DNA. They didn't tell me, they didn't say a word about it, that my daughter had been raped, and that's what they were sending my DNA to be tested. They lied to me. And in 2009, on my daughter's birthday, May 30th of 2009, I was cleared by the fire marshal and the ATF. And in 2012, they're asking me for my DNA and then lie and say they were going to compare it to the fire and to my daughter's dead body. That's how it says it on there, that they were going to compare it. Nothing about a rape, that they were going to compare it to Mackenzie Taylor Branham because she was raped. So they lied to get my DNA. But the big question is, that was in 2012. They let me back this up. In 2012, a detective went to Montgomery County about Mackenzie's case. As the coroner was going through Mackenzie's file, they found that paper, and it said positive male semen. So for 6 years, that rape sat up in Montgomery County and never mentioned. But at the same time, Fayette County, who requested that test to be done, never asked in 6 years about the results of that test that they requested.
During that activity, it just starts pulling energy from you, and I just started getting very dizzy, losing my balance. Every now and then you got to come outside and kind of just ground yourself.
So it sat there for 6 years. And all we knew in Fayette County was that a child died in a house fire that was rolling arson. Still today, not no news media, not a newspaper, not a radio station, nobody has told the truth about my child, that she was raped, murdered, and set on fire. That has not been told. It's always been child died in house fire, rolling arson. This is why I'm upset. This is why I'm protesting. But, like I said, they had no problem contacting me and asking me for my DNA, but will not collect the DNA from the boyfriend that was staying in that house that night, that week, that month. Not still today do they have his DNA ran with the results of Montgomery County. And that's the only male that lived with my little girl. No other males lived in that house other than the mom and the boyfriend. And it ain't a woman's DNA, it's a male's DNA. It is also semen. And semen only means one thing. And then I have a family, the Potters, that are going to sit there and bash me all over the place because I'm raising hell to get justice for my little girl. And even after I brought this all out to the community, that my little girl was raped, they still take their children and leave them with the mother. They still take their children and let them babysit their children. But I also knew something that I thought was suspicious too, is right after my daughter's death, a year after, I'd say a year, I can probably prove it, a year after, all of them left. There was only 2 Potters that stayed. All the other ones left. Split town. Got the hell out of here. Didn't ask a question about their niece, their granddaughter, what was going on with the case. Nothing. The mom's family just gets up. Some of them go to Kentucky, some go to Florida, some go to London, Ohio. Hell, I don't know where they're all at, but they all got the hell out of here. And I can tell you right now, I talked to the fire marshal, I think it was a month ago. I think it was last month. And I asked him, I said, when's the last time you spoke to the mother of Mackenzie Taylor Branham? And his exact words were, I haven't spoken to her since 2006. No, Mary Ann Potter is the grandmother. Mary Potter Branham is my ex. They have the same names. But he he hasn't talked to her since 2006. Now, the key thing here, and this is the truth, I think I have been interviewed, even after I was cleared in 2009, I had been interviewed, I'd say probably 17 times. Even after my DNA cleared in 2012, I still had been interviewed. But the mother has only been interviewed twice. The boyfriend has only been interviewed once. One time. So, Vicky Barnes, you want to know why? I can tell you why. And this is the God's honest truth. The boyfriend is related to three sheriff deputies of the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. The sergeant is now passed away, but was best friends with Vernon P. Stanford. And I mean best friends. I'm talking about almost, you might as well say they were brothers. That was his wife was Kenny's sister. And they still live in Jeffersonville. But that is why this case is where it's at. This is why I have been to the FBI. I literally walked up in their building. I have been inside the FBI in Cincinnati, in their building. I took everything with me. And it's like everybody else says, well, it's an ongoing investigation. We can't just walk in there and take over. We have to be invited in. Because Vernon wants to keep calling it an ongoing investigation. I'm going to tell you guys right now, everybody that lives in Fayette County, if you come tomorrow to my protest, my evidence book will be laying on the table. And I guarantee you, my evidence book, I have more in there than the Fayette County Sheriff's Office has with them. And this is a fact. And the reason I can say it's a fact is because when I go and meet the commissioners and they ask me, does the Sheriff's Office have this? Tells me already my answer. And the prosecutor won't talk to me because he don't represent the victim's family. So he don't talk to me. That's what he told me. I don't talk to the victim's family. I don't represent you. I represent the Sheriff's Office. That's what he told me. See, that's how dumb our county is. Because we voted in Jesse Weed as our prosecutor that tells me he don't represent me, the victim of the victim's family of the victim that was murdered. He represents the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. No, he does not. He represents the state of Ohio. He represents the victim and the victim's family. But when you go to college and you graduate with a science of animal science and you become a prosecutor with an animal science degree, this is how you proceed with being a prosecutor. Now, at 11 o'clock this morning, a press release was, they released the press. It went to all news stations, all radio stations, and all journalists, all newspapers, radio stations, and news broadcasts. At 11 o'clock this morning. I have not yet heard from anybody. But at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, it will be released again, and it will be released every hour starting at 5:30 in the morning. Automatically, the press, everybody will receive the email and the story of why I'm protesting. I've already posted it on my Facebook, and and most of you have already read it. This is why I am protesting, is because I believe this was a big cover-up. I believe there's more people involved in this than just the ones that raped and murdered my little girl. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. One way or another, my daughter's story, my daughter's voice will be heard. One way or another. But, obviously, the Record Herald that quit writing stories about my daughter because they were told to quit writing stories, forgot that tomorrow will be 13 years since my daughter was murdered and raped. And the sheriff forgot about it too, because his concern is not what happened to Mackenzie Taylor Branham, and that there is 11 eyewitnesses that have never been spoken to or been told to give a statement. There has been DNA still not collected on quite a few people on that side of the family that are males. But that's not his concern. His concern is we need a $20 million jail. $20 million jail. So tomorrow, he's having a public, open public tour of the jail so he can show everybody how bad that jail is, you know, where, you know, that he has to have his office in. You know, he wants a nice, beautiful office. And here's the thing. I've seen the blueprints and the drawings on this new jail for $20 million. It ain't a jail. I'm telling you right now, when you look at it, it ain't a jail. It actually looks like a college. That's what it looks like. Got a big front glass, you know, 10-story high glass front, beautiful bricks, you know, the whole 9 yards. No wonder why he was in a public meeting and explaining how people that rape children, people that murder people, people that sell dope that has fentanyl in it and it causes a family member to overdose and die. He believes these people that come to his jail should have mental health. They should have fresh air, a place so they could go outside in a courtyard and breathe fresh air. He believes that they should have a gym. They should have a decent 3-course meal. He believes that's what these people need. That rape and murder and sell dope to your children. That's what that sheriff thinks that our new jail needs. A comfortable Sierra mattress, bed, pillow. You know, hell, they probably going to order those pillows off My Pillow, you know, off the TV set, so they can, you know, make sure they don't have back problems and curved bones and stuff. But what he don't understand, I guarantee you my little girl wanted fresh air. I guarantee you she wanted to be outside playing and breathing fresh air. But she didn't get that chance. Somebody took that from her.
If we ever take anyone down in there, we run the risk that something will happen to them later. So, have people seen him?
And the thing of it is, these people think they got away with this. They honestly believe they got away with raping this little 8-year-old child and murdering her and setting her on fire. They think they got away with it. And the only reason they think they got away with it is because they have law enforcement in their pocket. And, you know, I said this before on my live feeds. Every investigator that approached me and sat down with me and asked me 1,000 questions, one of the main questions that every investigator asked me was, what did I think the mother had on the boyfriend, and what did the boyfriend have on the mother? And that was the wrong question to ask me. What they should have asked me was, what does the mother and boyfriend have on the sheriff? And what does the sheriff have on the mother and boyfriend? That's the question they should have asked me. That's the question that they should have asked me. And for a sheriff that's going to sit there and put in the newspaper and on the news that he has no person of interest, that has no person of interest, and he has no suspects. How in the world is the mother and boyfriend cleared from a fire that was purposely set inside their home? And they have told lies since the beginning of this fire. And this sheriff is going to sit there and tell me they have no person of interest and no suspects. The fire didn't happen outside. And here's a key thing for people that's new on this. The mother and boyfriend said that they were asleep in bed. This is the story the mother told the Record Herald the morning of my daughter's death. We were asleep in bed. We woke up to popping and crackling noises. That's what they said. They were asleep in bed. They woke up to popping and crackling noises. She said she ran into the hallway where the hot spot was, where the fire was set, looked up, saw Mackenzie, talked to Mackenzie, told Mackenzie to go to her window, and then goes out 3 different ways, because she said she went out the front door, then she said she went out the garage door, then she said she went out the back door, and then the boyfriend said they both went out the window in their bedroom. But, she talked to her child, this is her story, told her to go to the window, but then goes out of the house and runs up the street and borrows a pair of shoes, but never tells the person that she's borrowing the shoes from that Mackenzie's in the house. You just talk to your child. I know you guys are going to get mad at me for this, but bear with me. Bear with me. Let's just give her let's just give it to her. You just talk to your child. Your child's telling you, because she even says what Mackenzie supposedly said that night. That, Mommy, I can't get to you because of the fire and the smoke. That's what she said my daughter said. That's what she said. Now, this dumbass sheriff, he knows that in the autopsy report, my daughter never got off the bed. Never got off the bed. Now, he knows that. He already knows the truth behind what happened that night. He knows the truth. But still can go to a newspaper or a news channel and say, I ain't got nobody. I ain't got nobody. I got no person of interest. I ain't got no suspects. But he knows that mother's lying, that she did not talk to Mackenzie. But let's just give her the benefit of the doubt that she did. But then why would you leave her? Why would you run up the street and leave your daughter knowing, if it was true, that she's alive, that she's trying to get out of this house? And you leave. You go up the road. Man, I'm going to put it this way. There's 68 people on here. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out who's behind the death and the rape of my daughter. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to find out and figure out and learn that this is a cover-up. For some odd reason, It's covering up two people.
It looked like it had horns.
There's a reason. There's a reason that Vernon P. Stanmore did not want this community to know that child was raped. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why he did not want the rape being told. He didn't want the rape in the newspaper or on the media. He didn't want it. Because I'm going to tell you why. One, and this is God's honest truth, it makes people more mad to know that my little girl was raped than it does that she died in a fire ruled an arson. That's the truth. Knowing that that little girl was raped. Raped. That word is so powerful. And he knew that. Look at it. Look how much Mackenzie's army, Mackenzie's story, has grown since the evidence of rape came out to the community. In my mind, I always thought it happened. Because I could not figure out why somebody would just kill my little girl. But I didn't have the evidence to prove it. And I would not tell you all that it happened without the evidence to prove it. But as soon as I got that evidence, and as soon as everybody that heard the coroner say, your daughter's fire was set because of the sexual assault, every single one of y'all had a tear in your eye when you heard about the rape. And that rape makes you want more and more justice for Mackenzie. And Vernon knows that. He knows. So he tried to hide it. He tried to hide that that little girl was raped. And let me tell you something. My little girl was raped that day. Not within a minute or two, and then they killed her and then set the fire. That's not how this happened. That's not what happened. It happened that day. So why would you not want it out to social media that this little 8-year-old was raped? So that way, by telling the community that child was raped, that maybe somebody saw something that day. During the daytime, when more people are out, more people are walking their dogs, more people are driving their cars, not at 2 o'clock in the morning. He knew nobody saw that fire. He knew nobody saw who set that fire. He knew that. But the rape makes a big difference in this. It makes a big difference in this. It also gives motive to why my daughter was killed. It gives a motive. You know, the thing that you're supposed to have when you go get a grand jury indictment is motive. Well, we have it. My little girl was being raped and molested and probably was going to go tell her daddy who was doing it, and they shut her up and they killed my little girl.
So I'd like to know where you found blood. That's okay. Because that's what I'm kind of blind. When I was doing a lot of work.
And then we go. 13 years, man. 13 years of this little baby being raped and murdered. And the mother doesn't even ask one question about her daughter's case. Not one question. Not even a concern to who did this to her little girl. And because of that reason, she's the biggest one behind it all. The mother is the person behind it all. Because she knows who was molesting and raping my little girl. She knew that her family was molesting my boys. She knew that her family and her boyfriend were hurting my kids. There's multiple and multiple of evidence. And then I got a sheriff that thinks that he has control. See, that's Vernon's problem. He thinks I have control. Nobody's going to tell me how to run my department and how to tell me when I have to give something up. You're wrong. Like I told you the day that fire marshal told me my daughter was murdered, I told y'all then, whoever murdered my daughter, I'll get you. I will not stop until justice is served. And you all thought I was bullshitting. You all called me and told me, oh my God, Donald, calm down. Don't do this, don't do that. That was the only error I made in my entire 13 years of investigating my daughter's case, is I listened to you jackasses tell me, shut up, don't say nothing, don't go to the media, da-da-da-da-da. If I'd have done it 6 years ago, I'd have had those people that I have the evidence on still alive, that I could be in their face asking them who the fuck ordered my child's clothes to be destroyed. Who the fuck ordered my daughter's hair to be destroyed in blood samples? Who the fuck stole the ladder out of the evidence room at the sheriff's office? See, I remember 5 years ago, I asked for a meeting. I did. I asked for a meeting for the sheriff, the detective, the fire marshal, BCI, FBI, ATF, the detective in Florida. I asked every one of them. Every friggin' one of them. I wanted all y'all in a room, sitting at a table with me in that room. And everybody agreed to do it except for two people. The sheriff and the Fayette County detective. Neither one of them wanted to sit in a room in public and let me ask the questions about my folder. They didn't want it. Their exact words was, we don't have nothing to explain to Donald Branham. Wrong. Wrong. You got a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining to do. Not only do you have to explain to me, but you need to explain to this community why you lied and why you're allowing a rapist and a murderer go free to do this crime again. You know what, Vernon? Here's my question to you. Whose child's next? Whose child is next? Because I've already found two kids. One in South Dakota that Kenny beat for peeing the bed. Another kid that he would take out and electrocute using a horse fence to electrocute the kid. How many kids are you going to allow this son of a bitch that you won't get his DNA from do this to another child? Don't that get to your conscience? How about it, Detective Ryan McFarland, the 3-day sleep cycle bandit? How many more kids got to be hurt because our children's services suck? They don't do their job. Then you got the sheriff's office that don't want to do their job. You got the state's attorney general's office that wants to keep passing the buck. And then you got a sorry-ass piece of shit for the governor that wants to talk about his daughter's death but don't want to talk about Mackenzie's death. That's the truth. That's the truth. Everybody wants to sweep it underneath the rug like it never happened. And the sad part about it, by sweeping it underneath the rug, another child is going to be the next victim. And the victim is going to be caused by not the person doing it, but by the agencies that ain't protecting that child. That's what's going to happen. That's why I am going to be up there on that sidewalk protesting. Whether I'm by myself with my daughter Mackenzie or I'm standing up there with 100 people. It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen to another family anywhere. And this doesn't happen to another child. That another child has to be a statistic. That has to be another victim. Because we allow these people to do this. Because honestly, if you think about it, we're the only ones, we're Americans, we're the only ones that go into those booths and we check mark who we vote into there. Instead of opening your ears and listening to the bullshit that these people tell you to get into these positions, you need to open up your eyes and read about these people in these positions. Mackenzie fell on deaf ears. They gave up because the only way they can solve Mackenzie's case is they have to admit what they did wrong. Where they covered up her death. That's the God's honest truth, people. Realize this. Open your eyes, not your ears. You know the old saying, seeing is believing is what you see. My little girl did not deserve the death that she had brought upon her. She cried for help for 2 years to a licensed psychologist. For 2 years she begged and begged and begged and told them what people were doing to her. And they ignored her because of me, because I'm a father, because I'm a male, because I shouldn't have my children, because I didn't carry them 9 months, because I didn't bear the birth.
Alice, are you here?
Come on. This ain't protesting just for Mackenzie's justice. This is a protest of justice for all children while we have a rapist and a murderer among us out on our streets. Yes, do I want justice for my little girl? You're damn right I do. Do I want justice for my family? You're damn right I do. But I also want justice for every child that is a victim because our system fails them. Because our system don't believe that a 3-year-old can tell the truth.
Can I come in? Alice, I'm here with two of my friends. I just want to talk
I'm sorry that I get worked up. I do. I'm sorry that I yell and I get worked up. But it just eats at me every day when I turn on my Facebook and I see a missing child or I see a missing a child that was just murdered. It is so heartbreaking because every time I read one of those paragraphs and they don't know who did it, my first thought, is it the same person that killed my little girl? What is it going to take, Donald, to get these people in jail so this doesn't happen? That is what's killing me more than anything in this world, is to know that the persons that killed my little girl, that raped my little girl, could be the same one of one of those stories that you guys post all the time.
And the thought in paranormal is that when you get a coherent word or sentence, then it's actual spirit trying to communicate with you. So if Alice is here, or somebody other than Alice is here.
Right now, as I'm on here talking to you, a child is being raped. Right now, as I'm talking to you right now, a child is being murdered.
Who comes to this room? What is your name?
Every few minutes of our day, a child is leaving this world. They're not getting a chance
People keep saying your boyfriend shot you.
to become somebody. And it's us. It's a lot of us that turn our cheeks the other way or close our eyes. You know, remember the three monkeys: see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. And we do that every day. Every day when we see a child, we cover our eyes, or we close our ears, or we cover our mouths and don't say something. Remember those three monkeys. Because as I'm talking to you right now, and I know that bitch is on here watching. I know he's on here watching. And they need to. They need to know I'm coming. I in 2016 and in 2017, when they exhumed my daughter and brought my daughter up again, not only did I bury my child once and went through every bit of that grief and every bit of that emotion roller coaster, but I had to do it again. Again. I had to go through it again. 2 times. And there's a possibility that I'll have to do it again a 3rd time. Rebury my child 3 times. Because of the corruption.
And Cloverflex, for when you need to pay credit cards when no one carries cash. Or requesting a call.
We need to, as a community, as a nation, as a world,
Make today the day.
we need to crawl up CPS's ass or DVS or whatever they call it. They are, and I'm not saying all of them, but most of them, 90% of them are lazy. They don't want to do anything for a child. It's all about money, grants. You might as well put a price tag on a child, because that is what it's about. They will hand a child back to a parent that is abuse, molester, and their excuse every time is, well, nobody in the family wanted the child. We don't want to separate the kids. We don't want to take them away from their biological parents, so we give them back to parents. But a parent that is like me, that works his ass off, that does anything in the world for his children, well, they'll be at my door faster than they would be at my neighbor's door that's doing drugs and shooting up a needle. They will be at my door faster. You know why? Because they know I will pay every single dime to keep my children. They know I will pay to get a lawyer. They know I'll pay the fines. They know I'll pay whatever it takes to keep my child safe and home with me. It's all about money. That's why they go after the parents that care. That's why they take away the children from parents that care. Because they have the money to fight and get that child back. And they have to put that family through a bunch of bullshit and crap. And devastate a family that was a normal family. All because of money. Grants. I'm telling you guys, we have to stop this stuff. We have to get justice for Mackenzie. We have to get justice for every child out here. Ohio, think about it. What's our motto? Ohio, the heart of it all. No, we're not. We're the highest in trafficking of children and missing and exploiting of children. Ohio is. Ohio is the highest in overdoses. and drug trafficking.
Maybe she wasn't. I mean, I don't know. It happens quite often. People get attacked and people leave.
Ohio has 6 cities
Just all of a sudden,
that are ranked in the top 10 of murder.
passing through. You know? Are you passing through?
So,
this room, or are you passing
Ohio's the heart of what? The heart of what?
Is there anyone in the room with us?
Ohio used to be a Amish and farmer country. That's what Ohio used to be. Ohio, that's what it used to be. That's why it was named the heart of it all. And it wasn't because of the trafficking, the murder rates, the overdose rates. It wasn't that is why it became the heart of all. It became the heart of all because the real American farmers that put food on our tables, food in for our animals and stuff. That is why it was the Ohio, the heart of it all. And the sad part about it, I know more about Ohio, and I'm not even from Ohio. I'm actually from Jacksonville, Florida. They're facts. These are facts. These are true facts.
Someone here with us up here?
And we're the only ones. Mackenzie is buried at Jeffersonville Fairview Cemetery in Jeffersonville, Ohio. And I can tell you another thing too. There's another story that a lot of you guys that's on here don't know. My daughter's headstone was stolen. They stole my child's headstone from her grave.
Just creak the door or a floorboard. Can you do it again?
They stole her plaques. A prayer to God
Yeah, because someone did it.
about building a set of stairways to heaven. And they stole them. They stole my 2 sons that bought their little sister an angel and put it on her grave. And they stole it. God's honest truth.
Are you demonic?
And then I turn around and I file a police report. And here we go. Here we go with the mother again. She says, that he's lying. There was never a headstone. He's a liar. Okay? But I got pictures and photographs of firemen carrying my daughter's headstone and setting it on her grave.
But at some point in the night, I woke up to what
They stole my child's headstone.
falling up my legs in a very intimate.
For real?
I felt violated.
What did my little girl... You don't think my daughter don't deserve justice? Not only did they rape her, murder her, and set her on fire, but then they steal her headstone.
Absolutely felt violated.
Come on. And you don't think that you all should be up there on that sidewalk with me tomorrow morning, standing there asking for why?
It's all connected.
You don't think this sheriff owes us an explanation to why? I'll bet you if somebody went to his mom and dad's grave in Jeffersonville and stole his parents' headstone, how much you want to bet he put every dime that this county gives to find out who stole his parents' headstone? Guarantee that would happen. The sheriff would spend every dime to find out who stole his parents' headstone. So why is my daughter, why is Mackenzie any different? Why is she any different than anybody else? What did that little 8-year-old do to anybody? I don't care if you like me. I don't care. I go to bed, I sleep good at night. I don't care if you like me or not. I don't care if you like my opinions or not. I don't care if you think I'm the worst man in the world because of what I'm doing. I don't care. I'm to that point where I just don't care. But I do care about is justice for my daughter. I do care about getting rid of that sheriff and putting somebody in there that knows how to do the job. I do care that every child gets a fair, their rights. You know, children have rights. My daughter has rights. Even though my daughter no longer is alive, she still has rights. She still has a voice. As long as I'm alive and her brothers and sisters are alive, she has a voice. She's still a human. Whether she's 6 foot in the ground or not, she is a human being. She has rights as a child. And Children's Services now for 3 weeks has ignored me when I requested for their asses to get off their lazy asses and bring the mother and boyfriend in to Fayette County and ask them who the hell raped my little girl. Who the hell was touching my little girl? And demand that the boyfriend give his DNA. And every time those commissioners, every time CPS, every time Fayette County, every time the sheriff's office, and every time the prosecutor ignores me, tells me they're as guilty as the ones that committed the crime on April 27, 2006. They are no different than the ones that committed a crime. They're actually worse. To sit over there in that sheriff's office and know exactly who did this and know exactly whose DNA you have, you're pathetic. And every child that gets hurt, every child that gets raped should be on your conscience every single day thinking, man, if I go and arrest this person, I save a child's life. But instead, you'll leave that rapist out there. You'll leave that rapist out there. You'll leave that murderer out there. Come on. These people did not care that 8-year-old was sleeping in her bed. They didn't care when he stuck his private areas in my daughter. He didn't care when they took her last breath. They didn't care. And I'm going to tell you, they're monsters. Anybody already knows a child is already gone and sets a house on fire to burn that body is even worse. Is even worse to sit there and destroy that little girl's body to make sure that she doesn't come out of that house. You're sick. And the people protecting them right now are no damn better. And I mean all of them. BCI, all of them. Because this is a case that could be over tomorrow. That quick. That quick. Bam, it'd be over. Because I guarantee I can take my notebook into any grand jury and I can get an indictment. And that's a guarantee. And I'd have the people right now sitting in that jail. My daughter did not deserve this. No child deserves this. And that's the God's honest truth. No child deserves this. And like I said this before, I know there's other children out there that have died worse than my little girl. And that's the truth. And it's sad. A lot of times we see things that we think are small and we don't open our mouths and say nothing.
We feel the story is actually much darker than we really anticipated.
We need to get involved as a community, as a neighborhood, as a nation, as a world. We need to be involved. We need to stop this stuff. We need to stop. I'm telling you right now, if I ever go to a store or a mall and I see a man or a woman trying to snag a kid, I will beat the hell out of you. And not think twice of what's going to happen to me. I will literally beat the hell out of you. You better hope and pray to God it's your child that you're snagging up. Because if it ain't, I will literally beat the hell out of you. and I don't care about the consequences. As long as I know that I saved that child's life, my conviction won't matter anymore.
The most negative activity has occurred. Yeah. And we know exactly 20 years ago, a man named Charlie died right in this spot. Charlie Brown.
And that's another thing. After I do my protest Saturday, tomorrow morning, my next move is the ICBU 1, 2, 3, and 5, and up to 37 of an impeachment of the Fayette County Sheriff, Vernon P. Stanforth. I need only so many names on a petition, and then I am to file it with the superior courts, and that's what I'm going to make my next move. That's the only way that we can remove a sheriff is by impeaching him. Now, the sheriff has to do 4 things to be able to be impeached. He has to be on duty and drinking. Don't know if he does or not. He has to accept money, fraud, or he has to commit a crime while on duty. And the 4th one is he has to neglect the duty, his duty as an officer. And he's already done that by refusing to speak to the father of a child that was raped and murdered. He is neglecting my family, and he's neglecting this case to move forward. So I will be filing an impeachment on the Fayette County Sheriff, and we will go from there with that. I will look into that online. I think you have to be in this county, but I'm going to do 2, since I am going to take it to the superior courts. I am going to do 2 petitions. I will do one that's for the county and the residents of this county that can vote, and the other one I am going to do nationwide, just to show the superior courts how many people are behind Mackenzie and how many people want this done. Can't hurt nothing. All they can do is refuse it, but they'll definitely see all the signatures. So that is my goal to move forward with. Tomorrow, I will start my protest at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't expect people to be up that early and come. I will be sitting out there 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock, but it'll be like 8 to 6, somewhere around there, because we've had some rain and a cold front move in. So it'll be probably cooler when the sun goes down, and I don't want to sit out there and freeze my butt off. But I'll be up there protesting. I have all kinds of jewelry that I've been buying off these paparazzi ladies and gentlemen, and they're fabulous. Butterfly rings, bracelets, necklaces, everything. Purple, yellow, colors that represent my daughter. It is children jewelry. Any child is welcome to it. I will also have Mackenzie Army bracelets up there. I don't know yet, but there's somebody going to be there. They're going to do face painting. Probably a lot of butterflies. The evidence book will be up there. My signs will be up there. I will be going live, but because I'm saying that I'm going live, please don't just say, well, I don't need to be there because he's going live. I can see it anyways. Please, if you can come up there. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't care if you just pull in and get out and give me a hug and read Mackenzie's files. that I'm fine with that. I don't expect people to sit up there as long as I do the whole day. But during my protest, the sheriff across the street at the jail, which is right across the street from where I'm protesting, is giving a tour of the jail. Anybody's more than welcome. You're fine. I don't care if you want to take a tour and walk through the jail. The only thing I ask while you're in there is ask about Mackenzie's case. It ain't going to hurt to ask them, hey, you know, I see you want a new jail, but hey, how about that little girl Mackenzie? How's that case coming? I mean, simple little question. Sheriff's there, ask them. You know, might not get the truth out of them, but there's no reason to ask. Like I said, yes, we do need a new jail, but also I need justice for my daughter. I don't see asking this community for $20 million to build a new jail when you couldn't give $1,500 to give my daughter a proper, respectful examination, and you couldn't even put up $950 to check a DNA. I offered $2,000 out of my pocket to pay for DNA on 2 people. Of course, they couldn't accept the money, but it's there. It's there. I also can tell you that the reward on there is $10,000 reward on my daughter's case for any information leading up to an arrest and arrest of the people or person that did this. That $10,000 was raised by me, and it was raised by the fire marshal. Fayette County has not given one dime towards the reward. Not one dime. There will be posters up there. I have one that hangs on my front door. So every time somebody comes up to my door, the first thing they read is Mackenzie's reward poster. It's on my front door. There'll be plenty up there. Reward posters. So anybody wants a reward poster or wants to take one and hang it in their job or, you know, get it out there, you're more than welcome to them. Trying to think what else. But, you know, like I said, there's other things going on tomorrow. There's the health fair going on. Wonderful thing. The health fair it is. It's a wonderful thing that Grace Community Church puts on every year. I've been going to it every year, but this year the 27th fell on a Saturday, and that's my protest day. But my wife is going to take my kids and go to it because it's a wonderful thing. There's a lot of gifts there for kids and stuff. There's bouncy houses. There's all your medical stuff there. It's a wonderful thing, the health fair that Fayette County puts on. That's tomorrow. And then my protest, and then, of course, the tour of the jail. The tour of the jail starts at 10 o'clock and ends at 4 o'clock. My protest is from 8 to 8 or 8 to 6, counting on weather. Also, but if it's raining, it doesn't matter. I'll still be there. Rain don't bother me. Thank you, Chris. So that's just some of the things I wanted to go with tonight before tomorrow morning comes. I appreciate all you guys tonight. Every one of y'all that listen to my live feed. I know the snitches were on here. I know there was people on here that's going to tell or leak it out and let people know what's going on. I don't really care, man, anymore. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and that's get justice for my daughter. Same thing with the news media and all them. I expect them to be there. If they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. No matter what, my news is my news, and it's Mackenzie's news. That's a good question, Braxton. I don't know if I'll be doing the tour. I don't think they'll allow me in there, tell you the truth. Because one, they'll think I'm just doing it to be a smart ass. So I can kind of see them not asking me, let me be in there to do the tour. Number two, if I do the tour, they might keep me in there, and say that I did something and, lie about that, and then I'm in the jail. I feel more safer on the other side of the street, doing what I do best, and proving my daughter's case, and proving that there's a cover-up, and fighting for justice for my daughter. I could care that. I've been to that jail. I was there. I spent a couple nights there, and when I got out, I made a decision that I will never go back. I will give credit. It is a nasty place, but I was there. I put myself there, and I deserve however my living was. But I didn't go back. I didn't want to visit it again. And so we wouldn't have problems, like I said, a lot of the people in this town, it must not be that bad of a place because a lot of people like going there and staying. And so it can't be that bad of a place because if you go once and you survive the one time, you won't want to go back. So if you're going back, then it must not be that bad of a place for you. So I don't know why we need a new jail. But honestly, we do need a new jail, but not right now. I think there's more things important than a new jail. Justice for my daughter is one of them, but also all these agencies they want to bring into the jail to help inmates. They need fixing on the outside first before you put them into a facility that's going to give their training to somebody that just raped your child or somebody that just murdered your mom. Honestly, I'm old school. I believe in what the Bible says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I don't think they deserve anybody that molests a child, rapes a child, murders a child. To me, I don't believe they deserve rehabilitation or to breathe fresh, crisp air, as Vernon said. They need fresh, crisp air. If they need that much air, just buy them an air conditioner. Put it in the cell. It's cheaper than $20 million. So, I thank you guys. I love every one of you guys. Mackenzie loves everybody. Mackenzie is happy. Mackenzie knows that justice is coming. Also, let everybody know, Sarah, I'm trying to think. There's Sarah and Sean, Chrissy, trying to think. There's so many names, but I built last year a memory garden. It's on the side of my house for Mackenzie. Anybody's more than welcome to visit it. It's beautiful when the flowers and everything start coming up. It's got a pond and everything, a fountain. Anybody's more than welcome to bring anything and put it in that garden. I don't have to be here for you to put something in the garden for Mackenzie. The reason I built that garden for my daughter was because of things being stolen at her grave. Every time I took something to her grave, it was stolen. So I built a memorial garden beside my garage. It's very beautiful. It's even more prettier in the summertime when everything's blooming. But anybody's more than welcome to put anything in there for Mackenzie. There's a lot of angel statues in there, benches in there. You can bring kids. It lights up at night. So I have that for her. And it's a peace of mind for me to be able to go out there and sit on the bench. A couple ladies donated the benches. And they're beautiful. And it's nice to sit out there and just listen to the waterfall and everything and talk to my daughter and smell the flowers and stuff. And not worry about somebody stealing or destroying something on her grave. So I do have that. So I thank you guys. I love you guys. Hopefully I see some of you guys tomorrow supporting this. It is a peaceful, I hate to say that, but it is a peaceful protest. Even as bad as I don't want it to be, I would love to be able to yell and scream and shout what I really wanted to yell and scream and shout. But it is a peaceful, respectful protest for my daughter, to support for her justice and to get justice for her rape and murder and arson, and also to get justice for her for the ones that are trying to cover this up. So it is a peaceful protest. So I hope to see a lot of you guys tomorrow over there. Root beer, yeah, because I can't drink. Milk's my favorite thing. I love milk, but it's hard to keep milk cold. I can drink milk. Sarah and Sean knows. I actually had a lady one time get on one of my live feeds. This is a little cute story. Got on my live feed and said that I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And anybody that knows me, I did work at a bar at the time my daughter was murdered. I never drank in that bar. There's people that know me that can vouch for that. I never. And when my daughter was murdered, I stayed at the bar, worked a few more years there, and never touched it. Never touched alcohol. Never touched any kind of drink there at my work. And as far as drugs, the only drug I do is Pyramid Blue 100s. But I am a milk drinker. I love my milk. I drink 2 gallons of milk a day. My wife kills me because, like, every day on her way home from work, she's got to stop and get milk. I am a milk drinker. I love my milk. So everybody that knows me knows I do not do drugs. I do not drink alcohol. But this lady got in there, and she said, he's an alcoholic and a drug abuser. Why are y'all listening to him? It was kind of cute. But no, I don't. And my daughter's proud that I didn't go that direction. She's very proud of me that I didn't turn to alcohol or turn to drugs when she was murdered. And it's probably what's got me as far as it has gotten me. Yeah, Craig. McDonald's kitty milks every morning. No, I don't drink it straight from the cow. But like I said, this ain't only just for Mackenzie tomorrow. This is for every child nationwide. It's to bring justice for Mackenzie, but it's also to bring justice for every child that is an unsolved murder. Still today, God's honest truth, facts. Mackenzie still has not been, her case has not been loaded up into the database of unsolved rape and murder cases in the state of Ohio. That Mike DeWine, our governor, asked to have everyone turned in September of 2016. We are now almost at September of 2019, and my daughter's case still has not been entered into the database. So that ought to tell you something. Yeah, my little Debbie snacks. Yeah, like me and little Debbie are. I told my wife that's my only other wife is little Debbie. And I told her, you know, I think she told me something about, or my kids. It might have been my kids. But when I die, they were going to put a Debbie snack in my shirt pocket in my casket. So yeah, my milk and my little Debbie's is the best. I agree, Kathy. Mackenzie law, we do need one, and I want to think about that, and because I want something that's really going to affect, you know, make a big difference and make a big impact. And Mackenzie law will be something about children, with children's services. A few years ago, I tried to start a thing called Concrete Angels, and I needed somebody with a 301c and everything, and I couldn't find that person at the time. And Concrete Angels, that's what that was going to be, was for children. And what we were going to do was, when a incident happened, not only would Children's Services go to that home, but so would Concrete Angels. And Concrete Angels would make sure that Children's Services and law enforcement did the proper procedures in that home with that child. But I couldn't get the 301c, I think is what it is, license and stuff. But that's something I would love to do, is where they need another agency that will actually fall in behind Children's Services and the police departments to make sure they're doing their job. That the welfare of the child is for the child and not the parents or the law enforcement or CPS. And we need something like that, honestly. And then also, Concrete Angels was going to be for runaway, and also it was going to be where we would go out more than once a month or once a year, but we would go out to foster care families that have foster kids and do a welfare check on those children to make sure that they are getting everything properly, that the government gives that check for that child, that child is getting a percentage, 90% of that check, and their well-being. Because foster care is where a lot of the incidents do happen, with locking children in cages, molesting children, and then kicking them out when they're 18 right out to the street corner. So that's some goals that's coming up, that I'm gonna try to make work. So I thank everybody out there that thought about the Mackenzie law. That would be a great thing. And I hope that I'm working on a few things too with myself. I think I'm going to try here in a couple of years and try to get into a private investigator or a criminal law courses, and start helping families. Not actually work for the police department, work for the families. And investigate homicides that they feel that something's wrong, and literally give them my time, and help other families. Because I would love to do it now. I am very good at what I do, and I would love to help other families, but there's that thin line that you could cross that could get you in trouble because you're not an investigator, you're not a cop, you're not a judge, jury, prosecutor. So it's another thing I'm going to work on too. So I thank you guys. I love you guys. It's 11 o'clock. I know a lot of y'all have things that you're going to be doing tomorrow. It's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow, 62 degrees, sun shining. I'll be at 113 East Market Street at the Sheriff Annex Building in representing Mackenzie, my daughter, who was raped and murdered on April 27, 2006. Thank you guys. Love y'all.